of you.
and yeah, the double me, the double entendre. Hello, welcome to another Dark Mushroom Media Cast. This time around, me and Jose are riding solo into the night, and Palmer's dead, just like Jose was the last time we did this. So we're gonna marshal forward and continue on. A lot of stuff has happened since we last did a cast. Can't remember the name of the convention off the top of my head, but last weekend there was a big PC thing in England, and a lot of cool stuff
The
came out.
PC Gamer Convention.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, though. But a lot of interesting stuff came out. More stuff I really give a shit about, like Rising Storm 2, which is a Tripwire interactive game. Finally showed off some first gameplay. It doesn't look completely amazing, but it looks much better than the first Rising Storm, but it should. It came out years ago at this point. But I'm very stoked for it. I really like the look of it, and the map, the way the maps look, like the way the small Vietnamese towns look. It actually looks like a small Vietnamese town. It doesn't feel like just buildings thrown together on a map. It actually has a bit of soul to it. It doesn't look like something they did in Rising Storm when, it was the Japanese instead.
Oh, it's just like a flat ground.
Yeah, it was flat ground and bunkers, or a few city maps where it was just flat buildings with no soul to them. But yeah, I'm really stoked for it. I've been really looking forward to seeing some gameplay of it. They promised it on a stream like a month ago when me and Palmer were watching it, and they never actually showed it because they couldn't get their shit together and actually show it off. So fucking teased me for a month, but eventually I saw it, and I'm very happy with it. It's supposedly coming out this year. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I really hope it does, because that would be awesome.
Well, what was that game we played? Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Mm-hmm.
Their Vietnam DLC it felt pretty like they molded it to fit the level right.
Yeah.
And it looked like, they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really think of any other Vietnam War era games off the top of my head, though I'm sure there are. But I don't really have any to compare it to.
The one I can think of is Tunnel Rats, and that one took place in the tunnel systems under Vietnam. So completely different setting. But there aren't many Vietnam games to begin with. I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I'm sure the few that have been around. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's been a couple that have kind of been somewhat of a joke. But this one, it's by the dudes that do Red Orchestra, and they in my opinion, the best World War II games, or at least as far as multiplayer shooters go, are the Red Orchestra series. So they're not going to fuck it up.
Call of Duty 2, pretty amazing.
Call of Duty 2? Yeah. Well, I think everyone agrees that the Call of Duty series was respectable up until, I don't know, the Modern Warfare 2 or something. Yeah, I think Modern Warfare 2 is when a lot of people fell off with that.
Rising Storm, that's the one where you can be Japanese and
right.
kamikaze with a sword, right?
Yes, you can actually kamikaze and yell bonsai and run at enemy lines. And get achievements for doing stuff like that.
That multiplayer, though, that was the most intense sort of deathmatch I've ever played. So much that it kind of drew me away from the game.
Yeah, it does that to a lot of people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that in a Vietnam setting. It'll be even more painful and horrible. It'll be great. It's gonna be fantastic. But along with that, Jose, something me and you were very passionate about. Mountain Blade showed off some gameplay and in-game graphics, and just it showed something, because for a while there's been nothing but a teaser trailer that came out for Bannerlord a year or so ago that just had men yelling and nothing. So they actually showed off some gameplay.
Yeah, it was always a little disappointing, because I'd always forget about the game. And then when I'm ooh, let's see if there's any new videos or information on gameplay and stuff.
Nothing.
Not really.
Not a goddamn thing.
Except for the link you sent me today.
Yeah, and then last weekend they put out a 40-minute video detailing everything from character creation to...
oh, really?
Yeah, it was character creation to just battling to the way the game works. I'm really happy because it literally looks like it's just Mountain Blade Warband, but with a new skin, and that's all they needed to do.
Beautiful, luxurious, lustrous skin.
Yeah, it looks good. It's got a good lighting system. It actually looks fucking great, and I'm really fucking happy. Because
the way I could tell is because that overworld, that was some Mountain Blade Warband ass.
Yeah,
it was really impressive.
I actually
And
started
then
playing through it again, and it's just the difference between the graphics is just fantastic. I'm so excited for this.
I watched that video of the PC gamer blah 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 whatever,
Hmm.
and I'd forgotten. I mean, it's been such a long time since I've played the single player of Warband, but I'd forgotten how amazing that game was. Like with it was like a sim, like a town sim because you get your own. You know, you can make your own trade routes. You can fucking press olives and shit. You know,
Right.
like to like sell between towns. It's like a first person or a third person and first person
Hmm.
like
You can switch between the two.
action RPG. You know, it was yeah, dude. Like it made me want to play some Warband. Like watching that trailer, and I'm like super stoked now that it just looks amazing, and they've improved on everything, even like from the simplest details, like in town. Now you can affect it even more than just like raiding and taking care of bandits
Yeah,
around the map.
they put out Viking Conquest, which was a single player and multiplayer expansion last year, or I guess it was
Mm-hmm.
about 2 years ago now. And
Yep.
the original Warband was great because it literally just dumps you in this setting, like go do whatever the fuck you want, be a farmer, fucking raise a warband, join a kingdom, create a kingdom, do whatever you want. In Viking Conquest, it's a little bit. There's a bit more story to it. Like in the beginning, you're on a boat and your fucking mother's killed in front of you or kidnapped in front of you or whatever. You have to go deal with that, and it adds a bit of story. It doesn't just dump you in this land. But Viking Conquest improved on Warband a lot of it added a lot of little things to the single player adventure that you could do, whether it be new skill trees, whether it be ways you can equip your guys, whether it be it just improved on it. And I think adding that into Bannerlord is just I'm so fucking happy. Like it's gonna be great. And just the idea of all the mods and like I have no words. I'm very excited. And
Yeah,
supposedly this is
I
due
don't
out
know
this
what
year.
mods could possibly improve on the mechanics of the game because it seems like they covered everything that you want in like a medieval life
Right, but you got to keep in
simulator,
mind a lot of people.
war
I
simulator.
know a guy who's clocked almost 200 hours in the Warband. He hasn't touched Warband. All he's played is Napoleonic Wars. So you got to keep that in mind. That was just a fucking mod originally, and then it became an official
Yeah,
expansion.
okay.
So just the idea of where that can go, or even just a Napoleonic War mod, an updated version of that even would be fucking amazing. So just all sorts of goodness coming from that convention over the weekend, and very happy about that.
Because in the video they said that it's going to have the most players or NPCs on screen than like I'm guessing even those like 400 player like servers for Napoleonic Wars.
Right.
So like that's really exciting because like those fights were amazing. Like going like sieging a castle where you gotta like lift ladders and then like be one of like 800 dudes, and it doesn't matter like if you're like the leader or like
The flute
whatever
player.
because like you're fucking like you can get one shotted and like the game's over. So like it's hardcore like that, man. I fucking love that game.
You got to be a brave motherfucker to be the flute player or the drum guy,
Actually,
though.
you know what? I've been playing Blade Storm a lot this week, and
I've
I
noticed
think
that.
I know why. I think it's subconsciously like we started talking about Bannerlord
Mhm.
recently, and I think because of that reason alone, I started playing Blade Storm because it's essentially that you go into battle, you know, with like a group of dudes, and it's medieval. And
It's kind of
yeah,
Destiny
it definitely
Warriors-esque, isn't
scratched
it?
that itch. Yeah, yeah, it is, but it's not really solo. You take on like different units to go into battle, and then depending on like, if you're getting your ass kicked, you switch to another unit that's better than the one you're at to take out the town leader or whatever. But yeah, it definitely scratched that itch now. Like I'm super excited for this game. Any a clue on when?
Supposedly this year, I don't see that happening, just because I'm not a optimistic person, but it might be this year. I'd say I'd say about a year from now. I'd say early 2000s, like about a year. March 2017 is when I would expect to see Bannerlord. But there's a lot of stuff coming out that I don't really mind this being put
Killing
off.
Floor and Warband were my first foray into Steam, and like I definitely got my money's worth or your money's worth because I think
Yeah, I
you
remember
could-
I bought you. I was like, dude, you got to play Warband. You're like, I'm not fucking. I don't want to get a Steam account because you don't like getting accounts. And I was like, fuck you. I just bought you the game. Here's the email, and then never looked back.
and it
from there.
sat there for a year, I think.
It did sit there
before
for a while.
actually-
No, I think we dicked around with it for a while, but then eventually, yeah, I got you Killing Floor, and then that those two, the marriage of those two, kind of brought everything together perfectly.
Yeah.
And now with fucking 8 visual novels coming out a day on Steam, like there's no way you could get off it if you wanted to. So I won in the end, Jose.
I got
Speaking of games we like, though,
Valve winning.
that's true. We actually played streamed Chivalry Medieval Warfare last week on our stream because we like that game, and pretty much immediately after that, Torn Banner Studios developers put out a thing saying, "Hey, we're putting out a new game called Arcane Warfare." It's like, all right, and they put out a little teaser, and it looks like Chivalry, but much more colorful and with magic, and I like that. And then today they put out a official trailer for it, and that's exactly what it was. It just looks like Chivalry, but with magic and very colorful. One little interesting note, I kind of sent this to a friend, like, "Oh, dude, I'm so fucking hyped for this." And his first instinct was, "This looks like Overwatch." And I was like, "No, no."
I was just
You were just saying, God damn it. I really don't want people to think that, but people
just
are absolutely
aesthetically, maybe like the colors.
Yeah, it's just the color palette. It looks like Overwatch, but
the how it handles. How
yeah, it looks
plays.
like Chivalry though. Like it looks like it plays like Chivalry, but with magic. But yeah, that's supposedly coming out somewhat soon. I think within it's supposed to be this year. I think it's supposed to be end of summer, early fall, somewhere around there. But yeah, that looks really cool. Torn Banner has been very fucking good with Chivalry. They pump out constant updates. Me and Jose pop on it from time to time, and it's interesting. Some of the Chivalry community is not happy about it. I wouldn't say exactly hostile, but they're pretty neutral on it. Some of them feel Chivalry still needs a few improvements, be it with bugs or game mechanics or things like that. Personally, I'm not really of that mind. I don't mind having a few bugs in Chivalry. I think last week we streamed the giant mode, so it's kind of to be expected. But yeah, I think it's
it's usually the people who play on private servers, I feel, who are complaining about these things.
Is that right?
Because I think the general population that plays Chivalry doesn't really care that they'll get one-shotted from like an archer using a backstab 360.
No scope.
It's people who take the game, like, or maybe people who like Napoleonic Wars play in like 50 on 50 actual historical
regiments
reenactments of.
They have their own little Riddick
battles.
groups and shit.
Yeah, and 10 updates later, they haven't fixed those bugs that are game breaking, so I don't think they can be fixed ever. So just fucking get on with your life, asshole.
Pretty much, yeah.
Person that's complaining.
Yeah, if you're LARPing in Chivalry, just fuck yourself. That's
no, that's a little different. So.
No, that's exactly
That's
exactly what we're saying. Nah. Mind's Eye Theater, best theater. But yeah, 3 games I'm really into and developers I like, and they're putting out 3 games very soonish. So I'm very happy about that. But while we're doing all this happy horse shit, let's bring about some depressing news. A couple weeks ago, Darkspore shut down. For most people who don't know, Darkspore was a little Diablo-esque isometric RPG set in the Spore universe, where it was just Diablo, but in Spore form. But one really cool thing, but the really cool thing about it was an isometric RPG. It didn't do anything particularly amazing aside from one aspect, but the game, as far as the gameplay goes, it was pretty run of the mill. Nothing really special about it. Came out in 2011, I think in March, and then shut down about a week ago. So the servers were up for 5 years. Caught a lot of grief because it was an online-only game. You could play the game in single player, but you had to be online when it just wasn't needed. So caught an endless wave of shit because of it. They really could just fucking probably have flipped the switch somewhere and kept the game playable, but you can't play the game anymore. The servers are gone, and it's EA, so I really doubt they'll be bringing it back. So the game is gone forever. But I do want to point out one thing about the game, because I was about halfway through it when I read the announcement, so I went back and played through it and finished it, and actually played online with 3 people for the first time. The customization of the game is bar none the best I've seen in that type of game ever. Like, say in Diablo, you get a pair of shoulder pads, and you can equip them. Maybe you can dye them. And this thing, you get, like, gene mods that you can equip on your guy, and you can put them wherever the fuck you want. You could get, like, shoulder pads-looking things, and you can rock it as a fucking cod piece. You can put it in the middle of your chest. You can make it a horn in your head. Like, it was really interesting. And then when you place it on on wherever you want on your body, you could then enlarge it or shrink it or turn it certain ways. Like, it just had a customization system that I had never seen in a game of that type. And it came out 5 years ago.
Perhaps?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess because it was Spore, that's why it was so complex. But I've never seen that done before in a Diablo-esque game, so it was very interesting. I hate, someone in chat says, I hate online-only games, they're the worst. Yes, many people feel that way, and Dark Spore definitely suffered because of it. I'm kind of neutral on it, just because I'm always online, but yeah, I get why people don't like that. But
yeah,
that absolutely hurt Dark Spore, and that absolutely contributed to it failing eventually. Because it was really sad. Like, the last day the server was up when I was finishing up my run and getting ready to just say goodbye and get off it forever, there were, I think, 11 people online. So it's not like it had a brimming community to begin with, or at least at that point. But I'm pretty sure the numbers were about that when I first played it in 2013. So it's a shame. Like I said, though, the gameplay itself wasn't anything spectacular, but just the customization system of that game was fucking awesome. Like, it's sad. It's just sad. It did that really, really well, and now it's gone forever, Jose. It depresses me.
It's even more depressing.
What's that?
I guess because it affects me more. Because I actually have invested in, or I guess not really, but like an emotional investment in like the Fable series.
Yes, as do I. And I think you're leading to the point that Lionhead Studios is closing. Microsoft has actually shut down a few studios, or gotten. It looks like they're trimming some dead fat, I guess, but I don't think Lionhead really counted as that. But yeah, Lionhead Studios is officially gonzo, or in the process of being shut down. Which is, as Jose pointed out, Fable is known for the Fable series. They also did Black and White, but they haven't put out a Black and White game in fucking a decade. But yeah, there's, what was it, Fable 1, 2, and 3. Then they did Anniversary, which is actually a really nice remaster of Fable. Or at least I thought was nice. Some people didn't really like it. They put out that weird coach-writing game. I think it was called Journey.
I got that. It was awesome.
Really? What was that? Like, I never played it. From what I saw, it literally just like you were riding around
shooter,
a coach.
essentially.
It's an on-rail shooter.
Yeah.
Huh.
But pretty much. I mean, there are some kind of like all Connect games where like there's like parts where you just stand in like an arena kind of, and it tracks you and you move. And, like, but what it was essentially is an on-rail shooter, like almost all Wii games, which was okay.
Yeah, it was
but
a
I think
Connect
people
game.
weren't expecting. They were expecting something completely different.
Yeah, I didn't know it was an on-the-rail shooter. They were actually what they were currently working on was going to be a free-to-play game called Fable Legends, which was supposed to be an open-world RPG. Which, when you first hear that, you're like, all right, there's enough of those. But I was reading people's impressions on it, and apparently it was actually good. And the people that played it were actually excited for it, and it was kind of getting a little bit of hype, but apparently not anymore. But
since that's the game where one player got to like design the map, right, or like the arena, or is that a different game I'm thinking of?
I have no idea what you talk of. It could be Fable Legends, but I don't know.
It is like I think there's 4 heroes, and then one player who like sends waves of monsters to battle the heroes as they go through. I think that's the game.
Kind of sounds like almost a Dungeon Keeper-esque thing.
Right.
But, yeah, it's sad. I liked... A lot of people... Most people agree that Fable 1 was great. Some people kind of fell off with Fable 2. A lot of people kind of fell off with Fable 3. I liked all of them, personally. They all had their quirks and little things and weren't exactly perfect. But, yeah, they were a great series. It was one of those games that kind of, as a grown-ass man, you could play and you could kind of feel like a kid again, because there was like that fantasy and that wonderment to it, and it was all wonderful, and it was cool. And it's sad to see it go. But it wouldn't surprise me at some point down the line someone picks up the IP and does something with it. So I don't know necessarily that Fable's gone forever, but I do think you won't be seeing it anytime soon. And
how would you feel if Fable was canceled to make a budget for the rumored Battletoads game?
That'd be pretty fucking moronic. That'd be pretty goddamn stupid. If you're making a Battletoads game, it's pretty dumb. But if you're shuttering Fable because of it, that'd be bad. That not a smart move.
Should we start propagating that rumor?
Just start spreading that around with what power we have.
You
I
got a
don't
lot
see
of
that
pull on
happening.
the Star Citizen subreddit,
Yeah, I've got a lot of pull in that
like the
subreddit.
Tim
I
slash
think we've had
r
all of
slash Tim
three
slash.
upvotes in that subreddit. All the pull in the world. Um, all right, let's move on to some other stuff. Labyrinth entered early access. Labyrinth, it's a deck building game. It's an interesting concept. What Labyrinth is it's a deck building game, and you build two decks. You build one deck that is like your dungeon, where you keep all your goods and whatnot. It's your base, if you will. Then you build another deck in which you raid other players' dungeons, in which you equip heroes and you give them spells or equipment or whatever. Cool. I like the concept. It's an interesting concept. I backed it on
Nothing
Kickstarter.
new to mobile game.
No, nothing new to mobile games. It's not a huge market PC wise for stuff like that. PC wise, you tend to see more CCGs, Hearthstone, Magic, Infinity Wars, but again, most of those are on mobile too. But
And I think the main difference is, I think the fact that it's on PC, the player base is very adamant against microtransactions, and those type of games sort of force that,
yeah,
especially on mobile.
absolutely. But I like the look. I like the look of it. I like the way like it played out when I saw some footage. I initially saw this on Kickstarter. It was like one of the two things I've kickstarted, and it was cheap enough. I was like, you know what, I'll give this a shot. And surprisingly, it's already the early access came out yesterday, which I kickstarted this the end of November. I wasn't expecting to see any sort of gameplay or dick around with it till summer. And they should have kept it that way, because what they released on Steam on early access is a technical demo at best. There's not much there. You can't mess around with decks. You can't customize pretty much anything. It's literally just a technical demo. They said that they're going to update it regularly, and they're going to listen. The standard stuff you hear for developers that go through early access. We're going to listen to community feedback. We're going to update it regularly. We're going to adjust the way we do things depending on how the community feels about it. I just personally think they could have waited a couple more months before they dumped it on early access, because they are charging $10. It's going to be a free-to-play game, but they're charging $10 for it already off the bat. Now, what that $10 gets you apparently is a bunch of booster packs for when the game actually releases. So, if you're into the game, as far as value goes, it works out pretty well. But I just think they really should have at least added some deck building elements into the game before they actually set it loose on early access for everyone to likely shit on. But thus far, the reviews are positive, and it seems that they're going to stay that way for now. So I hope it stays that way. It doesn't look like something that's going to drag me away from Hearthstone or anything like that. But once the game's finished, it looks like something I could play on a regular basis from time to time, and I would like to do that. But yeah, the game is Labyrinth. It's on early access. You can look into it. But like I said, right now it's not much more than a technical demo. But hopefully in a couple weeks or a month they will update it to do something other than what it is. Jesus, I have a lot of notes.
Do you have any new info on that game you told me about the other day? It's like a Hunger Games.
The Culling?
Yeah, that's what
No.
it's called.
It's kind of funny. It's basically H1Z1 Battle Royale, but the crafting is simplified, the map is smaller, the players are smaller, and it looks a lot better, and it's a bit more fluid as far as gameplay goes. Initially, it kind of like it was one of those things where they just kind of pushed it off on Twitch streamers, like, here, fucking have game keys, have money, play this, get this game some popularity. And I just assumed it would fall off after a couple of days once, The Division came out and, the PC gaming peoples just kind of moved on from it. But it's holding its own. Like, there's still thousands of people playing it. It's still one of the most watched games on Twitch, even as of now. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's much more simplified than H1Z1 Battle Royale. H1Z1 Battle Royale could be fun, in theory. But when you actually sit down and play it, there's just giant gaps of time where literally nothing happens. Like I've played a few rounds of it that lasted around half an hour, and there are just literally points where you're sitting in a house for 5 or 10 minutes collecting gear, looking around, seeing what's happening, trying to figure out where other people are. There's just lots of dead time. That doesn't happen in the culling. There's a 20-minute timer, and you pretty much right from the get-go. I think it's 16 players right now is the max on the map. It's a decently sized map for 16 players, but it's not a giant map. But just right from the get-go, you know, you run up to a tree, you knock off some branches, you can craft a shitty bow or maybe a little axe if you go find some rocks or whatever, and then you just run around, you loot stuff, you can turn in credits to get other stuff and open crates. It's just a very simple, it's a simplified version of Battle Royale, and it works. And part of the reason I think it's also working out is because the launch price is $15, and for something that cheap, people are generally willing to, nah, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, it's holding its own. It's developing a player base, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I think it's just hilarious that the H1Z1 devs are probably just crying right now because they kind of shot all over their player base when they decided to split their games up into 2 games for whatever fucking reason. There's literally no reason to do that other than to stop developing the actual survival aspect of the actual H1Z1 game and focus on Battle Royale. But now that the culling is out, it's like, fuck Battle Royale. This game is much more entertaining and fast-paced, and you can get in and get out, and there's no just dead space like there is in fucking H1Z1, so...
I've never played the Battle Royale part of it.
You're not missing much. It was also infested with hackers for a while. But yeah, I've been on a weird sleep schedule lately, and I spent a good amount of time over the weekend watching culling videos, and it looks interesting. I'll probably pick it up at some point. The only reason I haven't picked it up right now is just because my backlog is huge, and apparently the game isn't very well optimized. But it's something developers are aware of. But yeah, it's like I said, it's $15 launch price, and I think the launch week discount's like $1.50. I don't mind not saving $1.50. You know, if I pick up the game a month or 2 from now when it's actually optimized and actually like play it and stream it and shit like that. But yeah, that's the
Speaking of, just a thought popped in my head randomly. Looking at gameplay footage of Bannerlord, those graphics from the demo, I think you'd only achieve if you had a really good rig.
Oh yeah.
So like, because it just looked amazing, and if you're talking about having hundreds of NPCs with that much detail, you know, going up a hill with lights and shadows,
yeah,
foliage.
No, I can definitely see the concern there.
Yeah.
Even like I'm playing through Viking Conquest, and just at one point I walked into the wrong neighborhood and I had 30 men versus 400. And obviously I wasn't gonna actually play through it and like keep that save file, but I was like, fuck it, let's just see what happens. And just the frame drop was just abysmal. You would just see like, you know, it was a stop motion picture of my men all getting slaughtered and me getting battered to death by fucking javelins and whatnot at 3 frames a second. So yeah, that is definitely a concern. But I trust those devs to do it right. I mean, they've updated Mountain Blade Warband graphically little bits over the years, and I'm pretty sure a toaster could run that game. So, granted, it doesn't, you know, it's not a whole lot of graphic power behind it, but even those big, like 200-player Napoleonic War maps, people with low-end rigs don't have much of a problem running that stuff. The thing I would worry about is just single player, like when you've got, you know, 500 NPCs on a map and you're trying to give them orders and shit. I don't know how that'll work out, but I have faith, Jose. I have faith in those developers.
Good.
Speaking of developers we like, Vermintide came out with its new Last Stand mode and DLC titled Schluchenschloss, I think is the name they're going with. Even the developers have joked, we don't even know how to fucking say this name, so no one can get it right.
It's always funny. Sometimes you get a bit of dialogue when you're loading into a game. So like Schluchenschloss, and then like the next word also starts with an SH. And so, like, the narrator's like, the Schloss of Schloss. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. They're having a laugh.
They're having a laugh.
But with this update and DLC, well, there was an update that came with the Last Stand mode with a map, and then the DLC, which is another map. DLC being, they adopted the old Payday 2 model, except they cut the price in half. So I'm very happy with that. I wasn't worried, but it was a concern that they would overcharge for the DLC. But I think $3 for a map that you can share with your friends is more than reasonable.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I like the free map a bit, even though it looks a lot like the regular levels in Vermintide. But I kind of like the layout. But the new map, just the aesthetic of it, it looks fantastic. Just the foreground, the level is it's I love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I absolutely agree. In fact, I have an easier time before we talk about like the level design. I have an easier time on the DLC map than the free map that they provided because like there's so many levels that you can use to your advantage. Whereas the DLC or the free map, it's just like a big arena with
Yes,
like
big open arena.
the middle part where you can like climb up, but you're attacked from all sides. It's like really challenging. So like I think I think that was on purpose for it because you definitely feel like you're definitely getting something. You're not getting shafted if you don't pay the $3, or if none of your friends pay the $3 for the map. But like you were saying, yeah, it's absolutely a beautiful map. Like everything about it, the setting, the colors, uh, things that I don't normally look for. Like look at like the skybox. My the character I mainly play with, the witch hunter. He's always saying praise the comet, blah blah blah. Now I know what the hell he's talking about. There's absolutely a fucking comet just chilling in the middle of the day out in the sky, and so yeah, it's really cool. And seeing the separate uh, map for the Last Stand maps got me so excited because the map is big, so many possible
Right.
like future maps. It's yeah,
I think a big part of
good.
that too is Vermintide itself. The game's kind of got a dark look to it, and Solution Slosh
Oh
is just very
yeah, yeah,
bright
yeah.
and during the day, and it's big and open. So I think
It's
that
because
played a lot into it.
fuck, what's the name of the city?
Fuck yeah, it's not coming to me either. God damn
Well,
it.
yeah, because it's a city under siege. It's
Right.
fire everywhere, and, smoke covering the
Rats
sky.
everywhere.
It's there's rats all over the place, and this is outside of it. So how
Yeah,
many
this is the
other awesome locales? I'm sure you know a bunch that could be incorporated
and
for a
this is the
while.
first map actually like outside of the city. There's a couple maps in the base game that are actually outside city limits, but this is the first one that's just in a totally different area. So that also has that. But yeah, I think it's bright and it's very pretty, and then but it's still like set in the ruins of a castle, so it's just and the cliff edge. It's a cool looking map, and it's fun to play on.
Mhm.
I will say, I like the Last Stand mode. Don't get me wrong, but after even 2 rounds of it, I'm fucking wiped, and don't want to touch the game forever until the next day. But yeah, Last Stand, it's fun, but it can be fucking exhausting to have two different tanks pounding on you at a time.
Right. I think I'm glad they kept that level of difficulty
Yeah, yeah.
in this because it really makes you work hard for those 17 blue ores. You know?
I think it helps people that are play it a bit more casually too, like understand the mechanics better because they maybe they get tired of getting fucking wailed on, and they learn how to
Right.
actually hit storm vermin or actually properly deal with gas guys quickly and shit like that. So
Yeah, one thing that's really nice is almost everyone now is using the block push, which during the
yeah, which a
normal game
lot of
before the
people
DLC never saw it.
yeah only people with shields like a single-handed weapon and a shield would do it because that's why they fucking equip that shit. But yeah, most people with two-handed stuff or just staffs or whatever they would never push. They just get wailed on. They didn't understand that. But yeah,
Mhm.
now people are like, oh, if I just push these two buttons, I will live a little bit longer and possibly not die.
One annoying thing though is everyone thinks they know the strategy to win. So everyone in like every game I've played, there's always been one person that's like, no, 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 this is the way to do it.
I'm the
I've had
captain now.
success, blah 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 blah. And in my just whatever reason, this game makes me like really aggressive and wants me to like. I always feel like I need to
It's
take charge
lame.
in this game,
Yes.
and so like it's so like that extra uh, stress to the game makes it that much more fun because it's like a power struggle between me and whoever the hell I'm playing with. And then like two people feel like the wrath of that because eventually we're like, fuck it, separating. Then yeah, it's a really fun mode. I hope they add more maps soon. Um,
I don't know about
And
soon, but they're definitely going to. They're from what I
I do
understand,
think
the
so.
the map is selling quite well for them. So I think
Imagine.
then they set a standard. They set a pretty good standard for themselves as far as quality of the DLC
Hmm.
goes too. So yeah, it's pretty good all around. Unless they just start pumping out crap, and which would be awful. But I don't see them doing that. But I think a
Yeah,
big part of it
they're pretty
was
good.
just getting the mode fine tuned because it went through a lot of apparently went through a lot of changes during the beta testing for the Last Stand mode, and which is why it was supposed to come out in February and it came out about a week later. But I think now that they actually have the mode out and have that done, it won't take as long for them to start pumping out more maps and shit like that.
Hmm.
My humble opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It's really challenging, and yeah, I guess it. However long it was in beta, I guess it worked out
It was like two
because I
weeks or
don't
so.
have yeah because I don't have any big complaints about it being unfair or too lenient. It's pretty good.
All right, let's move on to some other stuff because there's a lot of stuff happened since we last casted. I want to talk about a game called Shadwin. Shadwin is a stealth game. No, it's definitely a stealth game. Has a medieval setting. The entire concept of the game, or what the developers have shown so far, is basically you're like a preteen girl assassin trying to escort another
I'm in.
child girl to
Child
certain
Girl.
objectives, like a
Going in
kid.
universe.
There's like there's a preteen and there's like a kid, and it's pretty awesome. It's got an interesting mechanic in that it can just completely stop and rewind time. Some people, it's a little disorienting because they didn't realize there's a button that you can push to actually make time move normally. But right from the get-go, when you launch the game and you play it, if you don't move your character, time doesn't move. So that was really disorienting for some people because,
Hmm.
if you're walking forward and then you just stop, time just stops. You hit a button, you can rewind it. But there is a button to make things, the gameplay flow normally like you would expect in other games. But it's really cool. They put out a demo, and they had it run for, I think it was over the course of a weekend, maybe a little around a week. And the developer said, all right, here's the launch price of the game. We're gonna have the launch price come out at $35. And the more people that play this demo, the lower we will lower the price. So over the course of that demo period, 20,000 people downloaded it and acquired 3.5 million points, killing over 100,000 guards. And eventually, that knocked all those points and all those kills knocked the price of the release price of the game down to $14.55. Now, obviously, I think it's a given that they inflated the price a little bit just to help promote this stuff. But it actually worked. Like I played the demo a few times through and really enjoyed it, and a lot of people played through it and got press. And it was a smart move on the developers' part, who are Frozen Byte Studios. I should point out the developers behind Trine and the Shadow Grounds series. Trine 3 was kind of a miss for them, I guess some would say, even myself, even though I love the Trine series. But they've definitely redeemed themselves a little bit with Shadwin. And I was really hoping, like, after the demo event, it seemed as if the game was coming out that week, and I was really hyped for it and shit. And they were like, coming spring 2016. I was just like, fuck! So no release date on that yet. But yeah, it's a small little indie game that's just
So
interesting time mechanics.
is it
I'm all for
is
it.
it a platformer?
Yeah, it's think of it as like an Assassin's Creed game, but much more challenging and with like time stop and rewind mechanic. Because you can't like you're essentially a little girl. You can't just fucking and these knights are ronking around in full plate armor and shields and shit. You can't just run up and fight them. If they spot you, you're pretty much instantly dead. You'll get a fucking crossbolt in the head, or someone will just cave your fucking skull in.
Mirrors Prince of Persia.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. But so yeah, it's not like Assassin's Creed where you run around and you can just endlessly kill people. If you get spotted, you're dead, and you have to rewind the time and get back to a point where you weren't spotted. And if they, at least from the demo levels, or the demo level, if you have to hide the bodies. If you killed people, you had to sneak past people. You had to be very careful because if there were any like, if the guards were on you at all, they would ring a bell and the level just ends. That's it. There's no redo. Obviously you can rewind the time, but you can get yourself in such a spot where like you forget about a body like fucking 20 minutes ago, and some guard just stumbles across it when you're like half a mile away, further in the level, and the level just ends. And you're just like, fuck. And you have to rewind time for, however fucking... I think I had to go back 5 minutes at one point. It was very, very frustrating. But I learned the lesson of, hey, be careful and hide your goddamn bodies. Or just kill everyone. Eventually was what I was doing. Leave no trace. And it was beautiful. But yeah, it's a cool little indie game from Frozen Byte, and it's coming out this spring. And had an interesting demo gameplay event thing to lower the price, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Did you happen to catch their AMA
I did not.
a couple of weeks back?
It was mostly them saying, look, we're not going to fuck up like we did with Trine 3, from what I understand, though.
Yeah, very apologetic.
Yeah, well, I remember...
Weird.
I don't think you were there for that cast, but eventually, like a month or so after Trine 3 released, they put out a video of them basically saying, we're sorry, we're so fucking sorry. Like, it was just these two guys, the two developers, standing outside, almost groveling, apologizing. It was hard to watch. It was bad. But
Like cringy, hard to watch?
yeah,
or?
very cringy. I'm sure the video's still floating around. It was just douchey. It was awful. But they definitely redeemed themselves a little bit with Shadwin. They have said that they are going to continue to add stuff to Trine 3, and they're going to go back to the series at some point, but they kind of want to just do a fresh start and do something new. And I'm happy with this new IP, so I hope it works out well for them. I think it will, too.
Cool.
It's a fun little game.
Nice.
Jesus. All right. God, there's just so much shit. All right, let's just touch on Halo real quick, I guess, because... Well, I should actually point out.
Halo news.
Halo news.
Okay.
Halo's latest update came out, and it was titled Hammerstorm. And it came with Griffball. For those of you who don't know, Griffball is... how would you describe Griffball? It's like soccer with hammers. It's fantastic.
Right.
Soccer with
It was created by the Red versus Blue guys, Rooster Teeth.
Was it created by Rooster Teeth?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They made it when Forge was new. It was part of their series, and then somehow it was very popular, and so it was put into Halo, I think.
I did not know that. But yeah, I love Griffball. Griffball's fun. I don't think he was around at all in Halo 4. It was definitely around in Reach, because I played the shit out of it then. But yeah, I was very stoked about this, and it actually got me playing Halo. I've played probably half a dozen games of Halo since this update came out, because I like Griffball. I'm not a big fan of the current arena, but given that it's Halo and that there's Forge mode in it now, I'm sure that'll change as more maps and stuff come out for it. But yeah, it's Griffball. It's fun. With the Halo 5 mechanics, it works with the little jet boost thing.
Halo 5.
It's got the grav hammers.
So Halo 5 came out with no Forge mode?
It initially launched without Forge mode, that is correct.
What?
It came out a couple updates later.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of... A lot of the Halo... It's nice because all the content, post-launch content is free, but a lot of it really should have been included with the base game. A lot of people feel that way. But a couple new armor sets, Griffball, Assault, Fiesta is a new game mode, looks kind of interesting, a new map. And they brought back the Halo Combat Evolved pistol, the Halo 1 pistol, for certain modes. And that was pretty cool. Lots of new skins, armor, tags.
Sniper pistol?
Sniper pistol, yes.
My God.
But when this update came out, they also laid out their plans for future updates, and they laid out plans for 4 of them. The 2 notable ones were Memories of Reach, because who the fuck doesn't like Halo Reach? That game was awesome. And Firefight. They're finally fucking bringing back Firefight, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Halo 4 had a co-op mode. I can't remember what the fuck it was called off the top of my head, but it wasn't Firefight. It was basically run through 5 minutes of a campaign mission with that much story, basically. Whereas Firefight is just you're dumped in a fucking map and you have endless waves of shit thrown at you, and it is really fun. And they are bringing that back. No actual release date on that yet, but their content release schedule was slated for spring and summer, so it shouldn't be too far off now. But yeah,
Do you play as a Spartan or as an asshole?
A Spartan.
Oh.
Might be able to play as an asshole, but as of right now, it just looks like Spartans. And it doesn't. They haven't actually come out and said how big the teams are going to be, because it was always 4. And from the teaser trailers they've shown, at one point it had 4 Spartans dropping off a ship, and then later in the said teaser it had 5 running up a hill, shooting at people and stuff. So don't know how big you'll be able to get the games going, but I'm really excited for it. Firefight it was my jam. When that comes out, it'll probably be the only thing I play on Halo 5. I'm just not very good with the controller anymore. I used to be great at Halo, but then I switched over to PC gaming full time. Yeah, took an arrow to the knee, and it's just not working out for me. But Firefight, I'm really looking forward to it. It was fantastic. It's just great. It was beautiful. When Halo Reach got backwards compatible, I immediately hopped on that and only played that. But it had its issues. But apparently they're still working on fixing that out. So hopefully that'll be fixed soon. But Halo 5 Firefight, really looking forward to that. And some Reach content thrown in doesn't hurt at all, in my opinion. Speaking of game updates, Dino D-Day. Something I haven't thought of in a minute, and most people haven't thought of at all.
Really? We play Guardians all the time. I'm constantly reminded of this shit fest of a game.
Oh, no. Dino D-Day is a whole level above Guardians, Jose. You can't fathom. But they're coming out with 3 new maps relatively soon. Different new settings, which I like. It's not just a new map, it's kind of new settings. And they've also hinted that they're not done with Dino D-Day, that they're possibly working on a second one or going to soon be working on a second one, which I like a lot. I mean, the original one came out about 5 years ago now, and it hasn't exactly aged well because it was a Half-Life 2 mod. But it was...
Is that right?
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the new content, and I would really look forward to a graphically updated Dino D-Day, like a Dino D-Day 2.
Are they adding new dinos?
I don't know. They haven't. I don't think they've come out and said that. Right now, it just looks like 3 maps. But it's been at least a year since they've added new content to that game, so just any new content at this point is great. But it's not like the thing just came out. The game's 5 fucking years old at this point.
I think we always play when there's something new added to the game.
We try to do that with everything, like with Dino D-Day, Insurgency, Chivalry. It's just gotten to the point, though, where there's like a fucking dozen games that we try to play every time there's new content out.
My God. It's funny because I think I only play 4 games ever.
Never.
At any time. In a given year.
While we're on Halo, I might as well point out that we talked about it on the cast a couple months ago. They teased the Arbiter being a playable character in Killer Instinct. That has been confirmed. However, Keith David is not voicing the Arbiter, so that completely just took me out of it.
My God.
I'm sad that I want Keith David as the Arbiter. Make that happen, but no.
In response, we will be playing Saints Row, 24-Hour Marathon,
Keith David's free.
Dark Media, Mushroom.
After Dark.
Keith David, Memorial Stream.
Memorial Stream? I don't think he's dead. I just don't think he wanted to voice.
Why else would they get him? It's not like he's unreachable.
They probably offered him like $50 to say a few lines, and he was like, "Fuck you, I'm Keith David. I'm the fucking Arbiter. Fuck you." And they're like, "Fine, we'll get some other guy to do it." God damn it. But yeah, Arbiter confirmed for Killer Instinct. It's an interesting character choice, I suppose. It can get me to fuck around with it a little bit more.
I should probably hop on that.
It's pretty fun.
I've got the one now, which I only use for Netflix and Hulu.
They gave out all of the content from the first year, the first season as they called it, for Games for Gold in January. Which I bugged you to get, but I don't know if you actually got it. You probably
I think I picked it up.
Oh, well then, yeah. When you got a slew of characters to choose from.
No Tusk. I think.
Alright.
It was my main.
Actually running low on time, but we still have a couple of things to touch on. I thought we'd just take like 2 minutes and give our thoughts on The Division, because I like The Division. I understand you like it. Palmer didn't like it very much, so I guess it's fortuitous he's not here to shit all over it. Although God knows it has its issues. But yeah, The Division. You enjoyed it well enough. We had some fun times.
As much as you could enjoy playing a limited version of it.
Right.
During that beta.
Well, I think the most of the joy that we got out of it was fucking with people in the dark zone and trying to steal their loot and sometimes succeeding.
Right.
And just being general assholes. And asking people, what the fuck did you say?
But I don't think that's very unique to us, though, I think.
No. I thought that was the first time I've seen you run up to a group of foreign strangers and ask them if they want to, what was it, deathmatch or death brawl?
Deathmatch. Yeah, I figured they play games with English in them, I'm sure they recognize deathmatch.
Me and Jose were just following what we assumed were Saudi princesses or
Yeah, Saudi princesses,
Saudi
absolutely.
princes,
Princess's Bride.
and after a while, Jose was kind enough to let them get all their loot on the helicopter, and then just ran up to him in a very cheerful manner and said, "Hey guys, you want a deathmatch? Deathmatch?" And I'm just covering him with a sniper rifle, fucking sweating and shit, like shaking, just scared of what will happen next. And they were just very confused and eventually ran away and nothing happened. It was very
But we followed them
anticlimactic.
for a while,
We did follow them for a while.
but they were not having.
None of our shenanigans. But yeah, I like the Division. I didn't get it at launch just because my backlog is huge, and I want to get it on Steam because I like to have my Uplay games on Steam. I'm just weird like that. So any $40 pre-order price was not going to happen. That's just not the way it happens with Uplay games. But I will definitely get it. Maybe on a Steam summer sale when it's $40 or $30 or something on Steam. I'll definitely pick it up and have fun with it. But I'm also curious to see. They detailed the fact that their post-release content is going to be divided. Like they're going to put out some free content and they're going to put out some stuff for season pass holders. I didn't like that at all. Just the idea of splitting up the community like that, additionally to the season pass content, is just kind of asinine. So I kind of want to see how they handle that. But yeah, I didn't mind the game. But as I will point out, Palmer did not like it. We actually had a little bit of fun on it, but Palmer got very bored with it very quickly. I think after a 6-hour play session, he was just done with it.
Uh,
But I get it. I mean, a lot of people, I can understand why people wouldn't want to play it or got bored with it. But yeah, I found it enjoyable enough.
I think the one issue I had before I got into it was the fact that it reminded me of a lot of MMOs that had shooting in it, in that like it takes 8 trillion rounds to take
Right.
down a guy. That was my main complaint until I got used to it. After maybe about 6 hours. So I don't know if that was the same issue with Palmer.
I know bullet spongy enemies, even going back to Borderlands, can be annoying. But yeah, I think once you sit down and play the game long enough, it's just you would just adjust to it. It's the same wheelhouse as like Verdun or Rising Storm, where you get shot from halfway around the map and have no idea who killed you or how they did it, but you just get used to it and you marshal on. But one last thing we're going to talk about, try to keep it brief, is Guardians of Orion. This fucking thing,
Star Citizen Killer.
Star Citizen Killer, yes. We actually recorded a video on it, but we're probably gonna have to. I'm gonna have to re-record it or something because so much has changed in the time since we recorded it, as far as like what they want to do with the game and stuff like that. But
Yeah, also my views on easy multiplayer have changed because fuck that game and its constant dropping of matches
oh yeah,
and kicking.
I haven't had much issues in that department. But Guardians of Orion is the spiritual successor to Orion Dino Horde or Dino Beatdown or Orion Prelude is what they settled on. It's just a dumb game where you shoot dinosaurs and robots and collect loot. And it has an interesting mechanic in that it can switch from a top-down perspective to a third-person perspective. Different classes with different guns and different abilities. It's, as Jose pointed out in our video we recorded for it, it's not a terribly complex game, but it really doesn't have to be. It's just kind of a dumb game you can pop in and play for a little bit, have fun, and then get the fuck out. And we've been doing that quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But they laid out their future plans, which is everything from a social hub for players to fuck around in before actually getting into games, to first-person mode, to space missions. And then about a week later, after they put out all that stuff, they pretty much said it was like a wrestling promo from like the 80s. They like came out and called Star Citizen like, "We're coming for you." What was it? "I'm coming for you, Star Citizen." That is the title. It seemed like a good-natured ribbing of Star Citizen and the fact that they're planning on doing a lot with Guardians of Orion. And the response has been pretty hilarious. It's either people finding the good nature in it and having a laugh, and Star Citizen fanboys coming out of the closet work saying like, "Fuck you, your game is shit. You can't understand the magnitude of blah blah blah." It's the comments section for that post, just fucking hilarious. But Yeah, Guardians of Orion is planning to do a lot of interesting things, and at a very low price point. The game is now, it's the base price right now is $10, and then I think it's as of May they're turning off founder status and launching the game for $1. So yeah, but they're
I think
planning
this is
space missions, PvP, PvE, all sorts of shit.
yeah. It's seeing that post and then like the response. It very much reminded me that Gardens of Orion is very much a passion project and fun all around, like from development to like the actual gameplay of it. And Star Citizen is more of like a man's magnum opus. You know, like it's
No,
two
yeah, I get
different
that.
things. It's this guy's composing a piece for an orchestra where they're fucking jamming out
Right.
in front of a bonfire. So and I found it hilarious when they made that post because it was definitely like a little guy throwing a pebble into the ocean essentially is what that was. Like it was if it was the other way around. I mean that'd be fucking.
It'd be
I
mean.
would take offense.
Yeah.
But like it's yeah, it just shows you how like it's definitely two different uh mentalities or even just approaches to the games that takes place in space
End time
and
with dinosaurs.
4G
Star Citizen doesn't have dinosaurs, Jose.
rapid waves. I'm sure there's going to be a planet or two called Orion that has dinos in
You
it.
think they'll do that?
Absolutely.
I don't see
They
them
fucking
doing
took
that.
my money. They better do something.
Do you want that's a new backer reward for you, or a special Orion planet
Exactly.
with hidden robots. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the future of that game. The next update is slated for this month, and it's going to be the Marksman tree, which is the sniper class. And I believe the community is either it's the community hub. Supposedly, the first buildings of that will be coming too. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow Guardians of Orion over the next couple months, just to see where it goes and how far it goes, and yada yada yada. But I think we've covered an endless wave of shit on this cast. I think we did pretty good. Any closing thoughts, Jose?
Mm, I'm sure we'll cover this on like a Star Citizen cast. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
we're
sure, I
we're,
think we're
we're
bound.
likely to do a Star Citizen cast very soon, as they finally implemented the party system and we can actually play together now. I think they actually put out another patch to do some hot fixes and stuff too, so we'll probably need to download that. But yeah, we'll do a Star Citizen cast relatively soon.
Right. I'll just bring up this point real quick. That game, I can understand why people are very fanboyish about it.
Hmm.
Because this game is a fucking job.
Yeah.
Like I have to do the tutorial again to learn how to do anything. Because if you take some time off and you're not really that invested in the game anyway, it takes you a while to like learn everything again.
Yeah, I've dumped hundreds of it. I've dumped at least 200 hours into Star Citizen, and if I go away from it for a couple months, I come back, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I have to stare
Okay.
at the key
All
bind.
right.
Yeah, it's not just you. I have to stare at the key binding screen. There's actually the option menu you can go to that brings up your keyboard and shows all the key bindings. And I have to just stare at that for a couple of minutes before I really like. Oh yeah, that does that. Does that. Yeah, so that's not just you.
And half the time tutorial fucks up because it'll spawn like two ships in the same space time, and like the hangar will just go insane.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, lots of trial and error with that, but yeah, we'll likely be doing a cast of that relatively soon, within the next week or so. So keep your eyes open for that, folks. But as for right now, I believe we are good. Hope you've enjoyed our cast. Next time we do this, we're likely to have Palmer back with us, so we can get the three amigos back together. That'll be funsies. And he'll be happy we talked about The Division and Guardians of Orion, because I don't imagine he wanted to talk about those things. So,
guys can go right back to Dota and Hearthstone chat.
Well, yeah, there's a big Hearthstone expansion coming
Oh,
out likely next
boy.
month. So yeah,
Cool.
there's brace for lots of that shit. But this has been Dark Machine Media Cast. I don't even know what. I think we're on 36 now, so we're getting up
Shit
there.
together, Tim.
Yeah, we're getting up there. But we hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time, folks.